Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the best of the best, Mr. Jason Pritchard. How you doing, sir?
I am doing great. Zuber, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I am going to steal 15 or 20 minutes of your time and get some one-on-one mentoring. You cool with that?
Let's do it. Yep,
Awesome.
I'm ready.
So as you know, I have this office building in the hub, in Fresno, called the hub, sorry, on Van Ness. And I've had it for a couple of years. Obviously, I think it was like 4 months after I bought it and remodeled it, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Right. So I buy this building, I fill it up, staff it up with lots of people that we know. Really don't give it any love during the pandemic. Now we're coming out of it, and I have an opportunity to reset. Right. I have several vacancies there, which is totally okay. And frankly, it makes it easier for what I want to do. So what I want to try to do with the hub is the following. This is my vision for what I want, and then I'm going to try to back into how I think I'm going to get there. And this is where I need your help.
Yeah.
So I am now on my channel every Monday at 9 a.m. I'm going to do a group call with anybody who's a part of the hub.
Okay.
And my vision is, the first question I ask every week is, how many people did we help? Not what did we sell, list, any of that nonsense. How many people did we help? So that's what my goal is. I'm just going to take months to get there, but eventually we will. So as that is my stated goal, I then step back to kind of your vision board, right? How do we get there? And when I look at 2023, I see pain and opportunity, right? We've talked about that. So on the positive side, I think we can help first-time home buyers, FHA. I want to help people see the power in house hacking, what I call the cheat code to wealth, or Dion calls the cheat code to wealth, and I steal. And 3, veterans. Both my parents met in the military. Frankly, I wouldn't be here today talking to you without them. So that's the first thing I think about. I want to get 3 agents in there. Again, I don't have a brokerage. I don't want a brokerage. I don't want them reporting to me. They could be at 3. I don't really care. I want agents, 3 agents on Monday that have that focus. So like first-time home buyer agent. Hey, here's a brand new, development. These are the prices and comps. We just talk about it. And oh, by the way, here's a FHA question. Then VA, talk about, VA loans and how to do that in this. And then house hacking. We can actually run numbers, right? There's a duplex that somebody has at the hub now that we can talk about and actually use numbers. Then on the negative side, I think there's going to be some people that get caught, right? They lose their job or death, divorce, whatever. And they need to get out. They don't have equity. It's not as easy to sell. So how can we help them, right? Can we give them a form letter to ask for forbearance? Can we give them a list of services to go after? Just, again, help. And then finally, I got a question yesterday, or a comment yesterday, that I wanted to bring up, because I think, again, I don't know what Jen's going to do next. I'm going to use this as good karma to maybe plant a seed. So somebody asked me yesterday, hey, could the hub help me? My husband and I are in Fresno. We are trying to be first-time home buyers, but we can't seem to save enough money. Any advice? And I know I've interviewed Jen with you and Jen by herself. She was raised on a budget, right? She's raised to think that way. And I'm like, I don't know what Jen wants to do next. I know she wants to help. I know she really has thoughts for kids and college kids. Maybe there's a way that Jen spends up some kind of financial education or budget. I don't know what it is yet, but anybody who has a mindset of helping, I want to give them a spot. I want to push marketing and resources that way, use the growing channel to do that. So that's a whole lot of stuff I just threw at you. Ask questions.
I have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, no, absolutely. So here's my initial thought. I think, number one, we're constantly talking about goal setting, right? And so for me, I think it's getting clarity on those goals and listing them in kind of an order of priority, right? So we said a lot of different things. And I think we've got to put those in order of, like, these are the things that are most impactful, that are going to generate kind of like the most buzz and interest, right? And that are also that you're most passionate about. I think when you can find the overlap between those 3 things, right? There's this need out here, right? This is kind of like a hot button issue that we see kind of going into the market. And then I'm really passionate about these things. I think when you find that intersection between those 3, you've got to pick those, and then we've got to really like go after it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be consistent energy and effort put into those initiatives to create a buzz about it, because I think you guys did a really good job. I remember creating a buzz around that grand opening. I mean, I remember, I think the Business Journal was out there. There may have been like news stuff out there. I was seeing even outside of our own circle and sphere of influence of people where we all share things, it was getting additional buzz, and it's got to get back to there, because I think the people that you're talking about, we've got to grab their attention, and they may not be watching us on social all the time because they're not in the day-to-day real estate stuff like you and I are, right? And so I think the audience that you have or that you're targeting, number one, we've got to get their eyeballs somehow. So I think it's going back to generating that buzz again. And then I think it's just being consistent. I did a meetup. You were there for the start of it the other day. And now, we get 200 plus people now. I can post something on our meetup group and I know that we're going to get 200 to 250 people to show up like that. But it wasn't always like that, dude. Like at the beginning, 5 years ago, when I first started doing this, it was 10 people in a room, if I was lucky. And then it just built and built and built from there. And I think it's the initiative, the game plan, and then consistency. I think those are the three things, man. Like whatever we're going to do and however you're going to structure this, like it's got to be consistent effort. I would do a meetup every 30 to 45 days, no matter what. Like I was just committed to doing it. Right. And I didn't care whether 5 people showed up on the first one or not. If it was there, I gave them the same energy if 5 or 50 people showed up. Right. And then I think they create a buzz around that. They share that with their group. Other people start seeing it, and it just grows and grows and grows. And eventually you're going to get the right people in the right seats to fill those offices. And then it just kind of takes off and it goes from there. But it's the same thing as like with your YouTube channel, dude. Like you just are, one of the things that I will tell you and that I've always admired about you is that I just feel you're a machine when it comes to this stuff, like pumping out content. Like you just know, I don't care if it's me sitting on my, I will never forget your videos, dude. When I first saw you, like you sitting on your couch, like wherever you're at in your condo or wherever you were. And it was just, I retired. This is me, like not edited, not all the fancy lights and mics and all that stuff. And that's what it's going to be like, dude, at the hub at the beginning when you start. And then eventually it's going to grow into a produced, polished product. And you'll get there. But, we've got to get back to that nitty gritty where it's just Zuber sitting on his couch and just building it from there, man.
I like it. So I'm going to work on this the next week or so. Yeah. And I'll involve you in,
I love the idea too, since we're just kind of riffing here, man. Like I love the idea. I know, and I don't know how this is going to work. And I'm not going to, I'm never going to make a commitment for Jen. She's obviously going to have to do this, but I'm sure this is something that she's constantly talking about now, because she was very fortunate that she knew that she wanted to be a high school counselor, like very early on, because her counselor was very impactful in her life. She was one of the first, I think the first in her immediate family to go to college and graduate. And she knew that I'm going to go to school, I'm going to be a counselor. And she's been doing that for a very long time, up until recently when she was fortunate enough to kind of take a step back from that position. Right. But especially recently, I'd say over the last 3 or 4 years, we've had a lot of discussions because our life has changed so much, right? About just how, broken our school system and our society is, right? And how we're not necessarily setting up kids for success based off of just pushing them through this traditional educational model. And we've got to expose kids that are just not really built for going to college 4 years, then getting a graduate degree for 2 or 3 years after. That's not for everybody. It's just not. And that's the truth. Amen. And not all kids are going to be that, are going to fit down that path. And so her and I have talked about, she's been very vocal, even in her counseling job. Like, don't just go to City because you're not doing anything else. Like, what do you want to do? Right. And let's figure that out. And some people have entrepreneurial spirits, and some kids are. She's got a lot of students that are her students that follow me that are like, hey, I want to get into real estate. I saw a video about wholesaling, or I want to be an investor, or blah, 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 blah. And creating some type of curriculum or something that those kids can tap into, because they're just not getting it at a, your standard high school level. Right. And so maybe that's something that we could talk about. I don't know, man. And I know she's passionate about that stuff.
Yeah. So this is something Jen and I talked about, because again, I think she played with the idea of exiting last year. She gave it one more year. Right. So we had these conversations or messages last summer. And this is what I want for her if she wants it.
Yeah.
Right. If she wants to go out and create a program aimed at 18-year-olds or, whatever that, 17 to 22, whatever it is, focused on entrepreneur or real estate, or I'm all in.
I would love to do that, man. And I mean, like, I know you've got a lot of content and curriculum already built out. We're in the process of doing that for the platform that we're doing with Real, and just the coaching and mentorship that I want to do in the future. And I think it would be so awesome to identify, like, when you get around him, even with adults, but we're talking about kids, those kids where it's like, man, this kid has something that's different than every other kid. Yes.
Yeah.
And they just need somebody to grab a hold of them and steer them in the right direction and give them those resources. And like Scott, Pharaoh, and Kate are examples of kids like that. I mean, Amen. I just remember talking to them and I'm like, damn, this kid is sharp and he's going to get it. And as long as we can just put him on the right path and he's willing to execute and do the work, he's going to do it. And you can see the trajectory that they've been on. And I feel like there's so many kids that are out there that need that. And I would love to figure out a way that we could do that. I mean, even now I get excited just talking about that type of stuff, right? So it would be so cool, man.
Yeah,
it would be so cool. This is what I mean
by how many people do we help?
It is. And it's like to have the hub as a place where it could be the landing spot for them. You know what I mean? Where they can go tap into that information and get it, right? And have somebody there that can be there. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can spin it, but I think it's starting with what that is and then breaking it down to like daily things that we can do. And then just, taking the ball and running with it from there.
Yeah. And again, just thinking about, we're just riffing here. Like you had that ADU session this week, right? So think about it. Right now there's 3 approved plans.
5. The city of Fresno has 5 like pre-approved plans ready to go right now. And that's something that in most places you're going to have to go pay an architect and a draftsman thousands of dollars potentially to go get that all done. Now, here in Fresno, they fast tracked a lot of that stuff, right? And nobody knows nobody really understands and knows how to access any of this information.
Just for example, right? One of the crazy things was talking to Derek, who was your speaker the other day. I was like, dude, we just put a big ass QR code on the front window saying, come get the plans here, right? Snap your phone. These are all the things that we could do. It's just to be a spot where people come to help, get help on different things.
I think the start is getting clarity on what you do, then being very intentional about what we need to do to accomplish those things, and then just putting your head down and doing the work every single day. That's it. You know what I mean? It can't be one of those things where it's start, stop, and because you always just stay in the same place. You know what I mean? It's like that analogy that I use with finding deals. It's not like a faucet where you go turn it on. You got to crank it by hand, and you don't know how close we are or whatever, but if you just do it, eventually it'll happen, man.
Yeah. So for me, this is going to expose my greatest weakness. As you kind of highlighted, I have a unique ability to just work.
Yep.
Right. The third step's going to be easy for me.
Yeah.
I've very rarely, other than my commission jobs, which, force you to kind of create goals and plans. I have a vision board. It sucks. Right. I have one out there. It's got like 7 pictures on it. Yeah. I don't think big. Yeah. I just don't.
Yep.
I tell myself I work, I execute. Tomorrow the same thing, the next day the same thing. I'm comfortable there.
Yeah.
I am uncomfortable, just being fully transparent, thinking big.
That's what's stopping you, dude. Like, that's it. Like, I mean, and we talk about how these self-limiting beliefs will sabotage these things that you want to do, right?
Me too.
And that's 100% what's so you're going to have to work on reconciling that stuff, because you've already accomplished big things in the social media space and the content and the channel that you have, right? So it's actually, I feel like, so much easier for you to get buzz around this building because you can tap into the audience and all the eyeballs that you have right now. And it's applying that same thing towards that. And I think because, I think there was a lot of buzz that was generated at the beginning, and then the pandemic hit. So it's like, damn, we can't even get people in this space. Nobody even wants to go into a large group, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of, you're now reset at the beginning, and it's like, okay, now we got to do it again. But I think it's following the same path that you've done with your channel and these other things, and just applying it towards that building. And I think there is a definite want and need in the marketplace for it. Now it's just executing.
So I'm going to ask you to remind me, what are the 3 things I need to layer over everything. So it's my
I think you're going to have to, number one, get clarity on those goals, right? And so I think we have to identify a need in the marketplace. And I think all 3 or 4 or 5 things that we've talked about, there's varying levels of need that are out there, right? We've got to generate some buzz around those things, and it's got to be something that you're passionate about. Perfect. You know what I mean? And I think when we can find the intersection between those 3 things, and I'm literally just kind of talking off the top of my head here, but I think when we can layer those 3 things on top of each other, right? And just do the work consistently, I think doing it will not be a problem, man.
Yeah, that part's okay. Jason, thank you very much for all you do. I
You're
appreciate
welcome
you,
very
man.
much,
Where
man.
can people find you?
Social media, Facebook and Instagram are the platforms I'm the most active on, guys. So if you just pop my name, Jason Pritchard, into either one of those platforms, you will see me on there. Feel free to reach out with any questions or comments or anything. I'd love to engage and interact with you guys.
Very cool, man. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you.